Welcome back. We're continuing with the kindergarten or preschool slides. This is slide number 5. So this is the colors, as you can see on the screen. The introduction to colors. So colors is töndo and introduction is ngotu. And you'll notice that I'm separating the words with a little bit of a highlight. So we'll just walk through the colors. White is karpo. Black is nakpo. Gray is teldo. Green is jangku. Blue is ngömbo. Yellow is serpo. Red, marpo. Purple, mumen. Brown, gyamuk. Pink, sinkya. Orange, liwang. That's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's anything more I can say about that. Just practice and listen. You can repeat, loop that little section to practice as you like. This next slide is slide 6, and it's a bit of a description of how the colors are used to show the different consonant sounds, like meaning tones and so on. So I'll just do a brief overview of what this is talking about, since I'm guessing you're still learning how to read, so we're not going to do the detailed view of this, but it will be available in my notes if you want to look at the vocabulary breakdown. So essentially what this is showing is, oh, where's my page 6 in my notes? I have to find it. Oh, here we go. Right. Okay, so how you're talking a little bit about here how the different tones and sounds are represented. So the consonants that's of like you'll see when we're showing the 30 consonants, the red ones have a higher pitch or a louder sound. The green ones have a medium tone and a breathy exhalation. The blue ones have a low tone or a weak tone. And the yellow ones are low tones and nasal tones. So you'll see what I mean as we come to the next slides. So here we go. This is the 30 characters. I'm guessing you're already familiar if you're looking at my other videos. So this shows visually the different ways to represent those sounds of the 30 vowels. So the short, sharp, and loud ones are the red ones, which I'll try to make clear when I do my read through. And then the breathy ones, high tone, are the green ones, the second column ones for these. So this is a little bit out of order, but because normally you would see it as this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, row 7, and row 8. So they're a little bit staggered here. Okay, so, and then the blue, as we said, was low tone or weak tone. And in Lhasa, they're unvoiced. In some places, they're voiced. I'll be doing them as unvoiced. So ta versus da, for example. And then the yellow ones are low tones or nasal or both in this case. So I'll just read through them so you have a benchmark for what I'm talking about. So the first row, and I'll read them left to right and then down as they are normally done. So, ka, 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 nga, cha, 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 nya, ta, 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 na, pa, 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 ma, za, ca, ca, wa, sha, sa, a, ya, ra, la, sha, sa, ha, a. I hope that's clear. Let's move on to the next page. So this is recognizing mm, the letters from the first row. So the ka row or the ka group, the consonants of the ka group. So we'll just repeat them again, and you'll notice that we have on the top, we have the uchan, the headed letters, the ones with heads on them. U is a head, chen is possessing. So these ones have heads on them, meaning they have the top line on them. And these bottom ones are in the ume style, right? So for it's more obvious in this last one. You see there's no head on this. So ume, u head, me without. So without a head. These bottom ones are headless way of writing the same character. And you'll notice that the dot-like syllable ending character is a little bit longer in the ume style down here. But it's the same letter, same sound for each one. Just looks different. I'll just read them so you can hear them again. So, ka, 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 nga. That's it for this slide. Slide number 8, you can start to see the numbers, the page numbers down here. Then here's our next slide. So we're going to give some examples, some vocabulary examples with words that have the 4 letters from the first row in them. So this is slide number 9. You can see the number down in the bottom corner there. And the word here has the letter ka in it, and the word is kara, right? Sugar, as you can see from the picture. Kara is sugar. And we give a little sentence. And again, just be reminded that I've tried to break down the words with the highlight in slightly pink color so you can see where the words break. And I'll explain the sentence and how it breaks down. So the sentence, the English direct translation of the sentence is if you eat sugar, it's sweet. But I'll try to explain what's happening in the Tibetan sentence in a bit more detail here. So sugar is kara, as you can see from the little indicator here. That's the one word that's got the ka in it. Kara, sugar. Se is like eating in the past tense in this structure here. Na is if. Sweet is ngarmo, ngarmo. And then is yori, yori. If you're trying to follow strict pronunciation, it's each syllable is yobare, but it's generally pronounced yori. So kara sena ngarmo yori. If you eat sugar, it's sweet. Karma sena ngarmo yori. And the yori has the added information that this is something that you know in general. something that you know from before, as opposed to duk, which is something that you've decided recently or found out recently. We'll be reviewing a lot of that over time. Here is slide 10. So this is the second word from the first row of the alphabet or syllabary. And this word is ka. And as you can see in the picture, ka is a mouth. A mouth. A mouth is ka. And it's a simple sentence here. This is a mouth. This, ka, mouth. Re is re. And this is the is that means is a fact in general. There's no personal evidence or extra evidence being added to that. It's just, this is a mouth. Di, ka, re. Next, we go to slide 11. And our new word is kare, kare, kare. So this is our ka. That's the ka in the ume style with the, well, they didn't put the tek here, but they put the tek here. I don't know why it doesn't match, but that doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So kare, and kare means what? What? It's the question word. So it implies, like, you can imagine there's an imaginary question mark in this kare. The ka is almost acting like a question mark in this word. So kare, kare. So just like in the previous slide, di, this means di, and re means is. And instead we're saying what. So this di, what kare is, re. So what is this? Di kare re. What is this? Di kare re. And what would you answer? Can you guess from the picture? Do you know what this is? And your answer would be, you just replace the kare with the word of what it is. So you would say, di yak re. This is a yak. Pretty logical. I'm going to keep going until we finish the first row and then I'll stop. So this is nga. Nga is the fourth letter in the first row. And you'll notice here, one small thing is that not in the ume, it's not necessary, but in the uchen, you have, after the nga, you have a dot and a she. So the reason is that if you don't have the tek or the dot in between, it can end up looking like a ka. Uh, and so it can be a bit confusing. So this tek here is always added. It's a grammatical rule. So you never get confused. You know for sure that it's a nga followed by a she. And it's not the she is not mistaken for the tail of a ka. Okay, so nga means I, like me, I. And here we have the word pöba, pöba. Pö is Tibet, ba is a person from a place. So pöba is a Tibetan person. Nga, pöba, yin. Now yin is the verb to be, but with a personal evidence. So you're saying that I identify, or I identify as a Tibetan person. So nga, I am Tibetan, nga, pöba, yin. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much.